And we are. Welcome to episode 2 of Lost in Immersion, your weekly 45-minute stream about innovation. As VR and AR veterans, we will discuss the latest news of the immersive industry. So let's go. And Fabien here, you can talk now.
Thanks. Thanks. Cool. So uh, this week, the topic that I want to discuss with you guys is so uh, the link between AI and how this will, I think, help the emergence of metaverse, like a real metaverse, not just one single world as we have a lot of them right now, but very like interconnected and populated um, worlds. So last week, OpenAI, which is the company who's doing one of the leading AI company, who's doing uh, the famous ChatGPT that is was currently only a web UI, so you had to go on a website to be able to interact with ChatGPT. And last week they released the model available as an API. So what that means is I think we'll see a lot of applications coming for that. And the link with metaverse and real world is that it's very easy now to give a behavior to an avatar, to a person, to like a persona in a virtual world, and users can interact and discuss with that persona. So you can have in a very few lines of code, you can define, if you are in a game, you can define, let's say, like a warrior with all the qualities. And it's very easy to do in like a few lines of code. And in the same kind of like you can define a technician, and you can define, I don't know, a magician, this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's I will stop here for now. I'm just opening to you guys, and what do you think this will bring? And do you think it's like a good move towards like a more connected metaverse?
Seb, what's your input on that? We lost you for a few minutes, but I guess you understand what Fabien was talking about.
Sure, I am. Well, I think it opens a lot of creative ability to try on a lot of different option and decide the one the creative guy want to try. But it's great to have the opportunity to test different design, for example, for pictures, 3D model, and see which one the graphics want to go for. Um, I think before it was more drawing, so one guy drawing something, testing it in 3D, then going back. I think that kind of opportunity is great. And that's really, like we said before, it's a tool that needs to be handled and discovered more and more. What about you,
Because
Guillaume? What is your thought?
Well,
Yeah.
on the talking part, because Fabien was talking more about the avatar and uh, artificial people that we could talk with in the metaverse. What I saw is that sometimes there is some discussion that are going out of the road with some really weird answers by the AI. So I think that we still have some work about this to avoid some political or ethical problem that the AI could go could express. And but on the AI part, the most impressive thing that I'm seeing right now is the 3D auto-generating 3D assets from 2D photos and pictures. I think indeed this is a great way for us to build some better metaverses, because the 3D asset generation is the hardest one. It would require a lot of our 3D artists, and the budget would simply explode. But if we have this kind of tool that can generate really quickly some very nice 3D asset, we can achieve this whole metaverse idea of something very, very big, or a very huge environment that it's it's really hard to apprehend right now, because of the amount of work it would require. So Fabien, if you want to conclude on this, on your idea.
Yeah, I will conclude with two things. One is I just remember now actually that there is a company who's doing called Opus AI. They are working on text-based 3D world construction. So just enter your text like I want a forest, and boom, a forest will appear in the virtual world. So to go in the same direction as you, it will like help the construction of worlds. And yeah, I totally agree with how AI could go sideways if it's not aligned. Some people even think that it's one potentially existential risk if the AI is not aligned with. I mean, we've all seen Terminator. And lastly, there is also a theory called dead internet theory, where there will be no real human in a metaverse. It will be only like AI agents interacting with each other. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to think about.
Yeah, I think the main problem here is the database you're using to make the AI learn. We saw that depending on the input, it really changed the output of the behavior of the AI. So maybe someone will have to decide which kind of database is agreeable or not, depending on the results.
Yeah.
So Seb, if you wanna, do you want to add something more, or maybe you can bring your subject, your
I
topic?
think my subject is a bit related to what you were saying. It's about the fact that Facebook Meta released sold 20 million headsets, and that should open a big market for VR experiences. But I think the issue is still the cost to make a new game, a new concept, a new yeah a new game requires a lot of graphics, a lot of knowledge to do that for this kind of device. And I think right now the issue is that on their store there is not that much application, that much game, and not a lot of games, triple A games that stands out from the others. Um, so, what's your thought about that on your side?
Fabien, if you want to start.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Is they sold 20 millions, but so why are we not seeing like VR as like a mainstream, not mainstream, but close to mainstream platform? An issue is maybe content indeed. I even saw an article where the title was something around like Meta is a game company, but I don't know it, which I think is funny. Also, the difference between do Meta want to be a company who's doing VR for work and for industry related topics, or for the family, for the game? So yeah, that's a lot to think about, and I think we will see this year how it will play out with all the different actors and how they will perform, and as you said, Seb, yeah, how the content will follow.
Great. So just to, I think we saw the same article, and they were saying that 20 million in the same number of as of sold GameCubes and Xbox in the world. So you can have the image of what it represents for real. So as you say, uh, uh, I think that the VR headset hardware is not the problem anymore. As we can see, the price is right, the performances are really good, and people are buying them in Best Buy here. So you can buy them pretty much everywhere. And and as you say, Seb, the real issue is the content for everyone, because um, as you are saying, people are not using their VR headset for more than 6 months. Apparently, they are just selling them back on eBay or marketplace. And this is one of my conclusion. I'm doing a metaverse conference in a few weeks, and this is my conclusion: is that it's time for professional to take the train and bring on some very interesting and life-changing application. Because now we can see that game is not enough for VR headsets to live. Uh, we talked about PSVR 2 last week, because they now are bringing AAA games, as you are saying, Seb. So we will see what's going on. But I think gaming is one dimension of the VR uses, and now it's time to bring the other dimensions, which are work, training, and services, because this will make the real change and will make people come back to their VR headsets if it makes their life easier on a everyday basis. If you can go to the bank in VR instead of going there in the real world, and it's a real pain, I guess people will use their VR headsets to go to the bank, and it will make them keep their VR headsets. So if you want to add something about this last element.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe the fact that Meta released the Quest Pro for that to target more the pro market, but right now the device itself, for me, just an upgrade to the Quest 2, but not a pro headset that will make that move, changing the market to a more pro market. I think that's still missing an upgrade on the mostly on the mixed reality view, and the fact that the camera is low quality right now. So I think that's what remains to change, and maybe the Apple one will change that.
Mm.
We'll see by
Yeah,
the end of the
I
year,
think
I guess.
this could be a business mistake if they are still thinking that the hardware is a problem. They will keep bringing some new high-tech VR headset, but obviously this is not the issue now. They should focus on bringing on new content. And what do you think about the Quest Pro that is now $500 uh, less than a few weeks before? They are now $1,000 instead of 150. It's a pretty quick uh, price change, because it was released like a few weeks or few months ago. It's not that long. So what kind of message it brings to people, do you think?
We don't know the estimate of how much they sold, but I think they did not sell as much as they wanted. So maybe trying to lower the price and sell more to companies so they can equip more than one people maybe a complete team to work together in VR. That require the headsets to be lower in price to be able to buy more for a company. So
Well,
that's
for a
my
company, $500 is not that much. I don't think it would change anything
well,
if
when
they
you
didn't buy the
multiply by
150.
10,
Yeah,
when you multiply by 10 or 20 the number of devices, it start to adds up.
yeah,
Mm,
for small companies, you're saying, yeah, but for the
mm,
bigger one, doesn't make that.
yeah, yeah, but then the headset is still lacking application that are really useful, like you said, for sharing content, sharing ideas, application, and that's still required to prepare some 3D assets, some 3D stuff. Maybe with adding some artificial intelligence inside of the application will help for that and help create concept quickly and share that concept with other people. I hope it will, at least.
Great. Fabien?
Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. So, is it like an economic problem? Like they did, as you said, Seb, they didn't sell enough, so they reduced the price to sell more, or do they on purpose want to help individuals to buy to have easier access to VR? Um, Maybe that could be the case as well. And I want to go back a bit on what you said. Is I think for individuals, I wonder what do you think as well is social like networks in VR, like VR chat, which is super popular here in Japan. Is it also a driver of VR adoption, or is it still like a niche? Because VR chat is so one of the most popular, and you can I can go to a party in VR chat, and uh, so yeah, it's a very alive community.
Seb? Can you hear us or?
Yeah, I'm still missing the. I'm not. Yes, I hear. I heard. I'm. I'm. I'm not sure about the usefulness of that. Myself, I'm not using it that much. Um, so yeah, I have some doubt now, right now, that maybe with the Quest Pro that helps because you have the feedback of the user with their eyes moving, their reaction. But right now with the Quest 2, for example, that was sold at 20 million apparently. Um, I feel that that's missing for this kind of experience to make sense and have some real usage. Um, you see avatars, but they're not reacting to the user movement, so it's like disconnecting from the reality and what you want to have, like with a FaceTime or someone you can talk to, like what we are doing right now. So that's yeah, that's my 2 cents around that. What about you, Guillaume?
Well, I will just jump on this on these topics to bring something that it's more about the the image that we are making them ourselves of the VR, because um, in most of the articles or video about VR, we can see a bunch of people wearing VR headsets and they seems to be completely isolated. And in the common sense, people think that VR is an individual experience and it enclose the people inside a virtual world, and they are not seeing anything apart from their things. And the the main warning maybe, or it is maybe to change this idea that VR is just for an individual. And as you are saying, Fabien, the VR chat is a really alive community, and we should present VR as a social experience where people can meet and interact with others instead of just playing one game in the VR world and completely it's as a solo experience. Maybe by changing that, we can bring the youngest generation or our generation. We're not that old, but to experience VR chat because of all the people that I'm talking about VR and who has their own VR headsets, very few of them experience VR chat. Maybe most of them are saying, "What are you talking about?" Well, VR chat is there from it's 2014 or something like that. They came up with the first DK one, so it's a very established service. And when they are trained, that they are discovering a whole new world of what VR can bring on the table. And I think this is a presentation or a way of representing the use of VR that we need to change to make people experience this platform. And as you were saying, Fabien, I'm sure that this like VR chat can have a lot of success. We did a professional event in VR chat for it was a job convention, and there was like 50,000 people during 3 days, and most of the companies that came here to hire professionals, they found the good fit. So you can see that by bringing like tools that are not used for this kind of stuff can work very well. And I think we have all the keys right now to make this social VR experience be bigger than it is right now. But you are saying that in Japan people are using VR chat a lot. Can you can you explain what kind of uses they are doing with that? Is this like you say, they are replacing real social event by VR ones, or can you be more specific?
Yes. So there are some hybrids even, but most of them are only on VR chat, and I think it's because or thanks to COVID. I'm not sure what word to use in that case, but during COVID, a lot of people were alone and isolated, and VR chat actually helped people connect, and there was a huge increase in the usage of VR chat during the pandemic in Japan, and um, I'm not an expert in Japanese culture, so I might say something wrong here, but um, a lot of people are also just isolated in Japan by themselves. So I think it's a good fit of um, allowing people to express themselves as they want to in a safe space. So there are even some like movies who were recorded in VR chat. Some people who talk about how they met. I think the name is "We Met in Virtual Reality" or something like that. Um, so yeah, from what I can see, it's really seen as a positive, uh, very cool place to be in VR.
I think this should be the main reason why there are a lot more people using VR chat, is because the image of it is cool, because people are willing to go there and willing to meet because they know their friends, or maybe their friend to be can be on that platform. So I'll bring my own topic, which is about Japan as well. So it's a very good thing. Just let me get my notes up. So it's about sorry, it's about the metaverse and the approach that some Japanese company are making as they are bringing an agreement on the creation of the Japan Metaverse Economic Zone. So just for you to know, there is for those that I know, it's Mitsubishi, Fujitsu, Sampo, and they are all great names and great big players. And the idea here is to bring interoperability between them, which is a main key of the metaverse success. And so this is just the agreement, and once more, the agreement between companies is the key for the metaverse to work. They need to have this certification and agreement between them for the metaverse to work. And I think this is a huge step forward from the Japanese companies towards the real representation of what the metaverse could be. And they don't really know the representation that we how it will be brought to the public, but we can guess it will have some gamification or yeah, a nice way of bringing it to the public. Um, so what are your insight about this? What do you think about this new agreement? And do you think it will bring the one and only metaverse vision, or it is one step forward to the metaverses? I heard I saw a conference where people were thinking that there will be one metaverse per continent. So they were the European, the American one, the Asian one, and you could jump from one to another, but it will never be one and only metaverse for regulation and law reason, because they want it was a governmental conference, and they wanted to address the security and bringing some laws and regulation to their own metaverses. So here you are. There are lots of things to discuss, I guess. So Fabien, if you want to start.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very interesting to see that some, well, actually not some, a lot of initiatives are going into like regulations and agreements and like a more uh, out of the buzz kind of actions. It's interesting to see that it's so a lot of these companies are on the financial side. So I'm sure there will be like um, digital currencies and things like that into that metaverse. And also, I totally agree with you on the gamification part, especially because the consultant for the Japanese government who is helping this initiative is someone who used to work for Square Enix. So I'm sure he's bringing some like gamification into this. But yeah, again, I think it's maybe not the metaverse as you were saying, but it's a step forward into interoperability between like I think they, if I remember correctly, they will have like cities
Yeah.
in that metaverse that could we could interact and move between. So
Yeah, they're
um,
bringing the idea of a magic passport for you
mm,
to go from one city or metaverse ABCD from one another. I think this is to answer the limitation of our architecture. We can't have like 4 million people in the same instance for right now. So, and I think that they are just bringing the smart move to make this thing to make the things in motion and bring this idea to everyone, but they are making a step-by-step approach, and this is really, really smart.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think Japan has that, maybe used to have that image of innovation, and in the last maybe 10, 20 years, it was not that much, but the government is really pushing innovation right now, open innovation as well, and there are like a very lively startup scene here. So yeah, let's see how it plays out, and hope for the best. But yeah, what do you think, Seb?
I think, like you said, both the
I had to say.
the
Yeah.
yeah, very hard to say, interoperability. It's a key point to make that working, because definitely there won't be one metaverse, but several metaverse and several way of joining different metaverse. So there needs to be like a regulation on how to jump from one to another without losing your data, your avatar, or stuff like that. So there needs to be common ground on how the application are developed. So you don't have to log into a different account every time you want to move to another metaverse and try something else. You need to be free of your movement and move from one to another quickly. And also from different kind of device, from your phone, from your PC, Mac, from your VR headset, mixed reality headset, and all that needs to have common rules to make the the interaction common also. So when you jump from a metaverse to another, the way to interact remains the same. So yeah, it's a nice step forward, but just one brick that needs to, and the other country, the other player needs to join on this effort to make that common ground together.
Okay. Well, I will ask you a last question. I talked about it earlier, but what do you think of the initiative that governments would like uh, to manage or to bring this metaverse initiative by themselves? Do you think, because if we are making the parallel with internet, we can see that a government was like way behind what was going on, and we can see that private companies are now owning the internet per se. Um, do you think they would like to? Uh, they won't do the same mistake by letting big company take on this metaverse initiative and bring this governmental approach more earlier in the process. What do you think about this?
Yeah,
This is a bit political, but yeah,
yeah,
I think the question should be asked.
yeah. I really think actually that it should be a collaboration. It should be a collaboration. If it's only government, then what happens if the government change?
Mm.
The rule will change. So, and governments are, as you were saying, like very slow to react. It's a huge machine. Companies and startup are more flexible, and they can change really quick. So I think it needs a collective approach with government, regulatory, startups, and maybe I don't know, universities as well, researchers, and maybe community as well. So a way to gather this into like a collective intelligence that will help. I think this is the like the view of the metaverse is something that is uh, welcoming and co-created. Yeah.
Sebastian,
Sam?
the last word
Yes.
for this stream.
Yeah, I think it's a nice idea to have the government involved and regulate stuff right from the beginning, but I think they're already a bit late in the process. And unless they a huge rule on the creator to like RGPD or stuff like that to control privacy of the user right away from ground, and maybe have some fees or um, um, yeah, that is, they need to find a way to control the companies, because right now I don't see any regulation on that, and anyone can build their own metaverse on their own. Um, yeah, I think the regulation will be tough to put in place. But that's great. They are thinking about it. I'm not sure if they're not too late already, but it doesn't mean we cannot. They cannot implement regulation afterwards.
Yeah, I think just to finish this conversation, the main topics they were talking about were about social meetings and uh, artistic creation in the metaverse. They were not thinking about the industrial one, and this is I think the same mistake they are making again and again by forgetting that what brings this metaverse or internet forward are industrial or professionals, and they are just avoiding this because maybe it's too hard to make everyone work together, but they are taking a road that for me is not leading not anywhere, but not where we want to go. So they'll need to readjust. It's less. It's of course it's less funny to work with uh, industrial company than artistic one or creation and so on. It's harder to communicate with that, and I think this is one way of the political parties working right now. It's lots of communication. They want to show something quick, as you say, Fabian, because they are changing. They can change very quickly, so they need to make a point. And unfortunately, working with bigger ones or bigger companies can take years, and on the lifetime of a government or a political professionally can be hard to apprehend because it's a long term vision, especially right now when we are talking metaverse. More and more specialists are talking about a 10-year or more journey, and for a lots of people it's too long for them to realize, and they just want short-term solution. And I guess the Japanese approach is the right one because they are bringing this short-term quick results approach, and they will show the world that there is something to do, and it can bring more players or startup or community, as you are saying, Fabian, to the table, and it will of course be a great way to bring this metaverse or these metaverses quicker or and more efficiently for in the future. So this is 45 minutes, so we are on time for our second episodes, and I would like to thank you both. If you want to add a final word for everyone.
No, thank you. I think this was
Okay.
a very funny discussion. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
but I
we
think
will bring these topics again and again in the
Oh, yeah.
in the future.
mm,
So thank you all, and we'll see everyone next week at the same hour for the same 45-minute stream. So bye bye. Have a nice week.
good.
Thank
Bye, guys.
you.